Oh, welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner, classic, non-classic. This episode number 3495 and Doubleshot 3389. Yep, 5 to go to episode 3500. So, we have a comic corner. Let's get started. Yeah, basically we have a Fantastic Four trade and a Superman related trade. First we have is Fantastic Four by Ryan North, Volume 5. The final volume of this trade series before it gets restarted because of the movie. Despite the fact that a lot of people were questioning, why are you launching this book for? I mean, it's the same creative team. You just give it a number 1 for no reason. Could you just, I don't know, start a new freaking story arc? Oh, God forbid we do that. Heck, they even had 2 issues of the relaunch book tying the same freaking event as this did. One World Doom. This book contains issues 29 and 33 along with giant size Fantastic Four, which is basically, they released it because it was, I think it was last year, was like 40 years of giant size books per se. This is technically volume 2, number 1 for Giants of Fantastic Four. So, Ryan North is your writer, with, of course, basically, who writes pretty much the entire thing here, except for the Giants X-Men. That's actually written by legendary writer Fabian Nicieza, who Rob Liefeld had a falling out with. I don't know if they reconciled, because it appears that he did falling out, apparently, with Tom McFarland, but apparently that they, I think, based on what I see from titles from his podcast, I think they may have reconciled. But Fabian, I don't think so. So, in the case of the artists for the actual book, so you have Steve Cummings, who does issue 29 and 30-33 of this book. The Giants and X's book artwork is by Kreese Lee. The cover artwork is by Jessica Sarah and Dean White, who does the Fantastic Four issues. The giant-sized Fantastic Four issue, which is a artist who I have met in person, Brian Hitch. Yes, I met him once. I think it was at Make Orlando. I think it was last year. I think it was. I think I didn't know about him. I did not know the fact he was British. I had no idea about that. I got him some a copy of one of my Venom trades by Al Ewing, and I talk about Ultimates, various different stuff. Very cool guy to me in person. Fabian Nicieza, yes, I have met him. Met him once. Asked him about various different things. I asked him about because I know that the design of Deadpool was not Fabian Nicieza. So I did ask him, what was those speed troubles? That was Fabian Nicieza's idea. I did ask about the infamous story related to NFL Super Bowl. That the only reason why I got the job of writing that book because I got tickets to go football game. And yeah, it's true. Except the tickets he got a game to was to see the Jets lose. Yes, seriously. So it's completely true. And I got him to sign a copy of issue of Alpha Flight he worked on. Yeah, I found this completely randomly at an Ollie's, an issue of Alpha Flight that he worked on, and I had him sign it. So yeah, One World Doom. By the way, we have She-Hulk here. Yeah, it's basically the storyline, the event of Doctor Doom takes over the world. I will talk about, when I finish talking about this book, what is left to cover for this event. And there's a lot to cover. Oh boy. Oh, as of currently, Doc Doom is a season of our comics. Yes, and it was a mini-series. Yeah, so Doc Doom is Emperor of the World. She-Hulk is back in the book. And they also apparently remember the events of Blood Hunt, which happened a year prior to this. So, and of course, the guy had been chasing because he ate a frickin' pigeon. All about vampires. Hypocrite. Excuse me? Your husband is our assignment to kill plenty of their kind right here in the streets. Hey, that was very crazy. Her brother killed plenty more in Arizona. They know what to do right. Look, big difference between then and now. We live under a legal regime that's famously long distinguished between self-defense and mob murder. And Bengham responds, well, there ain't a lot of constant in this world. I know one. When She-Hulk talks, it's always a good lesson. So yeah, protecting vampires. And then we have somebody who is supporting Doom decided to stab the 2 vampires. The vampire parents. And apparently the people climb over the force field, and so they go away. They take the kids to the Fantastic Farm. Yes. There's an argument I have later on about this, so yeah, they decided to stay there because why not? And they have this whole Wonder Woman Doom thing. Oh yeah, and it's a nice standalone issue where outside of the house we actually have the Doc Doom banners. Yep, and also this issue takes place right after Ben Grimm became, well, basically they became known Ben Grimm again because of Wonder Woman number 2. So this is right after that issue. Yeah, so it's like, of these issues, I'd say that issue 29 is not long after issue 1. Issue 2 is probably in the background of issue 1. This is set right after issue 2. Ben goes to visit his father-in-law, the Puppet Master, and yeah. And of course, basically him reminding Alicia, his own stepdaughter, about what happened the wedding special, so he can approve, and of course a smile. So yeah, and then like rock hard, and then for issue 31, this is kind of weird. It's like we have to interrupt the tie-in after 2 issues to just have the Fantastic Four do more Fantastic Four stuff. I'm like, what? Why would you interrupt the tie-in? Yeah, they interrupt to go to space for an issue. I mean, why the heck not? And of course they go to space, and then they end up in Ultimate World. It's just another story of Fantastic Four. And then 32 is a Valerie Richards issue. Yes, an issue totally focused on Valerie Richards. And see her possibly in the future where apparently her brother has now become Galactus. And then she randomly runs into Jean Grey. Yes, Jean Grey. And then run into frickin' Namor. I get Namor being in the book because he's had a long association with Fantastic Four, but Jean Grey, she is barely associated with Fantastic Four, so. And it's all about her and of course Galactus and breaking stuff. And then we come to the final issue of the book. Yes, 32. Where it's like, yeah, we focus the last issue on Herbie. Yep, on Herbie. Okay. Oh yeah, and by the way, this one making the main book, Ben Grimm went back to normal. In this book, they just ignore it. It's like they just moved on from it. And then moving on to the giant size X-Men book. Yes. Which is pretty short in this book. So, a question I have about this book. Does, in fact, this book cover the entire book? Like, is it really this short for something that's giant size Fantastic Four number 1? So in this issue, we just have Reed working with some Canadian character. So they and they run into like a blue Namor. I'm trying to find out this one. Let's see. I'm attempting to find out right now. So, okay, so side by side. Okay, so Alright, so the answer to the obvious question, it does not contain the whole thing for this Giant Size X Fantastic Four book. So, basically, there's a background story in this one that's not here. And there is a reason why it's not here. Oh, and the reason? Because it reprinted an old Fantastic Four issue by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby that was released in the 1960s. So a book called... So, when it says, oh, maybe we can take the whole entire issue? No, it can just get the opening story. So, yeah. By the way, the name of this book is not the normal name anymore. Okay, so the guy without the mask on, apparently that was Stingray. I barely recognized him. So apparently Namor was in prison. They just deal with this guy. It's a very interesting issue for what it is. It is kind of fun. And that's it. Just a quick story there. And that's the end of Fantastic Four. I believe this is volume number 7, if I remember correctly. I believe this is volume 7. Or is it 7 or 8? Let's see. Yeah, this is the end of volume 7. A very weird volume. Yeah, the first 2 issues definitely feel like they were tie-ins to Wonder Woman Doom. The final 3 do not feel like that at all. It just feels like random issues. So we have an issue. So the Fantastic Four appearance issue is actually just, it's like, okay, so we're trying just to restore the powers of Fantastic Four, and I guess it doesnn't feel like, when I was reading these issues again, it didn't feel like it was part of it. Yes. So the Valerie appearance in this book is a alternate version of Valerie Richards. It's about journeying to the multiverse. And then, of course, basically, Sally put in the last issue of this book, they destroy Herbie. Well, destroy a Herbie robot, that is. Yes. Yeah. It just feels as though that, like, despite the fact, yes, it was obvious from my perspective, it launched the book because of the Fantastic movie First Steps that came out last year. By story perspective, it made no freaking sense. The timing was terrible. Because, like, based on the synopsis, basically, oh, these last few issues trying to undo the thing's reverse mutation. It didn't feel like that. It felt like 3 random Fantastic Four issues. They're not terrible. It just didn't fit the whole One Honor Doom motif per se. It's like they took issues off, and then they brought it back with issue 2. I think it was 2 or 3, and then it wrapped up really quickly. So you could kind of say that 31, 33 take place off screen. Why Fantastic Four was absent of the whole thing. I do find it interesting that they reference Blood Hunt here, because that was the event that came out the year prior. I give this book a, I'll give it an 8.5. But for the whole One Under Doom thing, so I have reviewed the main event. I have reviewed also, aside from main event, I have also reviewed, well, not all the Fantastic Four issues, obviously, the one issue of NYX, the issue of Storm, and X Factor. You're all thinking, that's it? That's all you reviewed? Yes. Believe it or not, that's all I reviewed. I have not reviewed the Amazing Spider-Man issue, which was the last 2 issues of that volume recovery launched, the Avengers issues. I have not reviewed Doctor Strange of Asgard, Doom Academy, Doom's Division, Doom 2099, the God's One Wonder, Doom One Shot, the Iron Man issues. There's still a lot to cover, but I've covered not a lot of it. It's like I said, just the main event, all Fantastic Four issues, and the Storm issue, NYX, and X Factor. And that's it. That's all I've literally covered so far. So, by the way, in the case of this volume, for Fantastic Four, it was a very interesting volume per se. It's not a terrible volume. It's just that, well, it's like, okay, we destroy the backspin, okay, and then we kind of explain what happened, but I kind of think as though there was more story there of the explanation of why the backspin will be destroyed again, and then they just don't do anything about that. I did enjoy the covers that Alex Ross was doing for the book, and then by issue, I think it was like 23 or 24, I think it was, he just stopped doing the covers. Yeah, it just felt completely random. I think so. It's actually 24. Yes, 24 was the last issue he did the covers for. Why he stopped, I have no idea. But there's no denying, if you read this whole book, yeah, it definitely is very science-y. But reading and reviewing all 33 issues of this book, there is no denying, the worst issue of this whole book is issue 25. Yes. You're probably all asking, why the heck is this issue bad? Because it's the issue where Johnny Storm slept with a bug. Yeah. It is just plain bad, disgustingly written. It was a pointless issue. Yes, it was completely pointless. It came out during a very weird month last year. Oh my gosh, it was so bizarre. Yes, it was one of those months basically where it was a month of the weird comics. Like, Ghost Rider rides a wheelchair. Yes, that was a thing. I have honestly no idea who it was to do that. Yeah. That was just purely random. Yeah, a freaking wheelchair. You would think was any other weird comic aside from the Ghost Riders and the Fantastic Four issue? Well, I'm trying to remember because I remember there was actually like a couple other really bizarre comics. It was the month of the weird comics. Yes, that was a thing with December of last year. It was just plain odd. Though of course Marvel was making baffling decisions in 2024. Oh my gosh, it was so baffling, to say the least. Yeah. Oh yeah, Spirit's Vengeance Volume Number 1. Ghost Rider rides a wheelchair. Yeah. That's how bad we got here. And can you believe the issue of Fantastic Four only came out in 2024? It was like actually not last. It was not last year. It was like a little over a year ago. And if you're curious, when would the final issues of this come out? 33 came out in June of last year, almost 8 months ago. Yes, 8 freaking months ago. And for this volume, it is currently, I kid you not, 9 issues in. Because for some weird reason that they decided to delay issue 10 by a freaking month. Yes, do not know the reason for this. It is so baffling. By the way, Marvel's still doing the legacy numbering, which I appreciate the fact of doing it. But by issue 9 of the current volume, the series has only reached issue 735. Yes, you hear me correctly, 735. And by issue 12, only 738. Which means probably won't reach issue 100 for quite a while. Yeah. So, there's that. Next up we have is this weird thing, Bizarro Comics. Yes, it's a series of stories that are simply bizarre. We have stories written, we have basically, the first one, Bizarro Comics cover. We have Matt Gooden, Chris Duffy. This is basic summary here. Chris Duffy, some issues. Chip Kidd, Sam Henderson, Kyle Baker, Elizabeth Glass. You're like, who the heck are these people? And I'm looking at basically who wrote these things. They do have one for the first familiar writer I saw here was Will Pfeiffer. Yes, Will Pfeiffer wrote one of these issues. I think it was anybody else who's a familiar name. I'm looking right now. Let's see. That is a familiar name to anybody. Paul Dini. Yep, he did stories about Crypto Superdog. Aside from those two, so basically, here's your creative teams. Bizarro Comics, artwork by Matt Gurd, no credit for writer. Bizarro Wars Part 1. Chris Duffy is the writer. Stefan Desano does the artist. Bizarre X-Ray X-Ray 1. Gregory Button, artwork. X-Ray 2. John Cursworth. 3. Gabriel Hernandez. Soup Pets. Sam Henderson. Green Lantern Afterthoughts, written by Chris Duffy, who does several stories in here. Craig Thompson is the artist. The Batman. Chip Kidd. Tony Millionaire. So basically, Chris Duffy does Bizarro Wars Part 1. Grand Afterthoughts. I'm looking right now. I'm looking at basically all those ones he does work on. Let's see. And this is Chris Duffy. I'm looking right now. Let's see. He does do Bizarro Wars Part 2. Like, okay. Bizarro World. The Spectre, which he has to follow Spectre himself. And that's it. Kyle Baker. He does the introduction. He also writes these following stories. If I can find them here. He does Lily Babysitter, who also is the writer, is also the artist of that book. That story there. Let's see. And here are stories here by. Oh, by the way, Joe Thompson does the Joe Core Fuel Power. He's the artist of that one. I'm kind of familiar with her. Let's see. Kyle Baker, a bunch of Evan Dorkin stuff. Yeah. As the title suggests, it's a bunch of Bizarro stories just written by. So here, okay, here's a list of writers: Chris Duffy, Evan Dorkin, Chip Kidd, Joe Thompson, Jeff Smith. I think Jeff Smith is the writer of Bones. Paul Pope, Mo Williams, Patton Oswalt, a comedian, Gilbert and Jamie Hernandez, Paul Dini, Rena Tedgmer, and many more. Yeah. I look at this book. I thought this was like old school, like Bizarro Comics. Oh no, like I look at this cover here. This is like a Simpsons cover. Yeah, this looks like a Simpsons cover to you. Yeah, Bizarro Comics. It's bizarre. I give it 8 out of 10. I do like the artwork of this issue. I do like the artwork a lot. I'd say probably the best one of the artwork is Joe Thompson's artwork. I like her artwork the best. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, to notifications. Next up we have is Welcome to Davis Gummer Con. Okay, next view.